All right, what is going on, my dudes? We are back here today with a full breakdown on Map 8. Now, Map 8 is the newest, highest Alliance quest in the game for Alliance activity, right? Before we even begin, gotta throw a huge, enormous shout out to my buddy Cat Murdoch, who spent so much time making these maps, Section 1, Section 2, and Section 3. Okay, there's her little. Oh my god, what happened? Where'd she go? All right, there's that little, her little icon up there. You probably know her if you're involved in the MCOC community. She has a Twitter. Go follow her on Twitter, Cat Murdoch _art. And she also has an Etsy that's just Cat Murdoch art with no underscore. She sells stickers and prints and other stuff as well. If you like my logo, the Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman of me and Riley, she made that for me. It was actually a commission that I got done for a Valentine's Day present for Riley back in the day. It's been my logo ever since. So she's done a lot of the artwork around the MCOC community. Go give her a follow. She puts in a lot of work. And yeah, her logo is also on this as well, down here, right? But we have it covered up so it's bigger. So we got all that up there. Want to make sure she gets the credit that she deserves. All right. So we're going to start jumping into this today right away. Okay. Now, map 8 appears very overwhelming at first. It's a lot to take in. The map seems very complicated, but I promise you it's not as complicated as it seems. Now, I did all of the planning for my battle group. I spent like probably 30 hours on this for like over a week, just trying to get everybody the best counters possible to make sure everybody gets through all of their lanes as efficiently as possible without using items or very little item use, right? To make sure we get through efficiently 100% the map without fail every single day so that people aren't stressed and people have a good time. So I know this map inside and out, like the back of my hand, everything about it. I didn't want to make this guide right away because I wanted to put all of the ideas that I gave out to people in practice to make sure they all worked. I'll tell you right now, I sent one of my battle group members directly into a death trap, and I'm so sorry for it. I've apologized many times, but since then we've worked on some solutions and come up with a better option for that particular lane. So yeah, but overall, for the most part, I feel like we've unlocked a lot of the secrets to this map. So we're going to jump in today, starting with section 1. The way we're going to be doing this is I'm going to go through each individual lane, and I'm going to go over how you want to go about those lanes, what they do, and some of the best counters for them, okay? So let's jump right in with the shared nodes first. So the way that map 8 works is that there's lots of shared nodes, and the shared nodes are down here in the bottom right, as you can see. If they have an A, okay, an A is bleed vulnerability, ebb and flow heavy, and ticking time bomb. A B, which is in the middle, has flux dispersal, right back at it, and pull. And C, which is on the right, has enhanced special 1, power focus 1, and special lock 1. Okay, let's go backwards because I don't think I have to tell you about C. If I have to tell you what enhanced special 1 and power focus 1 does, and special lock 1, you probably shouldn't be doing map 8 yet. Those are very basic nodes, right? So you know what that does, okay? Let's jump into B, flux dispersal, right back at it, and pull. These are really annoying and they're all over the place. The middle section starts with it with Carnage and Captain Marvel movie, and then on the right there's Odin, MODOK, and Hitmonkey, and then Claire, Falcon, and Yellow Jacket. Okay, now Falcon and MODOK, they have nodes going onto the mini boss Nimrod. All right, the way that this node essentially works, it's that pull, right? So projectile attacks, they're going to do more damage, and contact attacks are going to do less damage. Also with flux dispersal, every time you hit the opponent, they're going to be taking less damage until you do a heavy attack. And with right back at it, when you knock them down, they're going to go debuff immune for I think 6 seconds, right? So overall, it's just a pretty annoying node combo. It's just not fun. It's not hard, but it's not fun. Champions that don't make contact, right, like Black Widow, Clairvoyant, Quake is of course really good for just about all of this. Champions with projectile attacks, right? Also, you can brute force it as well with champions, you know, with contact attacks. The health pools are not very high. They're about 100,000 for these shared nodes, so you can definitely get through it. The way I recommend doing it is that there are 7 paths. So how I do it is I have 7 people on their paths, and then once the middle is down, I send at least 2 backup out to take out the middle node, the shared nodes, so everybody has something to do in section 1. I think it's the most efficient way to go about it. So that's for the shared nodes. Like I said, pull and flux dispersal, a little annoying. Then we have the A, okay, that's Immortal Hulk, Hood, Green Goblin, and Long Shot up top. Bleed vulnerability, ebb and flow heavy, and ticking time bomb. The way ticking time bomb works essentially, if you do a parry right? You're going to get a time bomb passive on you. When you get to 7, you take a big burst of damage. You get rid of them when you hit the opponent's block. Don't worry about it. Bleed vulnerability, ebb and flow heavy. If you bring a bleeder along and you knock them down, you're going to be doing an unbelievably large amount of damage. So for those nodes, I do recommend, Nick Fury is who I send out, Mole Man. Those are pretty much the two I send out to the best bleeders in the game, but pretty much any bleeder, heavy bleeder is going to be really good for those. So let's jump into the paths now. Number 1, Path 1 is one of the more annoying paths in the entire section. Schadenfreude, Combat Deja Vu, Unblockable, and Special Burst Lockdown. When the opponent uses a special attack, you're going to get an armor break and a heal block on you, and with Schadenfreude, when you have a debuff on you, they're going to get a passive fury, so it's annoying. Combat Deja Vu Unblockable is also annoying. If you do the same basic attack in a row, they're going to get an unblockable buff for 6 seconds or however long it is. Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Overseer, and War Machine are the defenders on the path, right? So the way I'm essentially sending this out is I have somebody going with Nick Fury, and I'm doing parry, medium, heavy for all of these, okay? There's an Overseer there who could be really annoying. He goes stun immune, right? But Overseer cannot auto block, stun Nick Fury in his second life, right? But for the most part, I've been seeing Nick Fury kill Overseer before he even gets, to use special attacks, man. So Nick Fury is very good for this. Of course, Quake is really good for it as well. Falcon is good for it as well. Turns off the Combat Deja Vu, and of course Quake. Up next on lane 2, Heavy Beta Protection, Polka Dot Power, and Rise to Power. The way this essentially works is, of course, there's Polka Dot Power, so you will not gain any power unless you're doing damage over time debuffs. Now, Heavy Beta Protection, they're going to gain a passive protection of 10% every single 8 seconds, something like that, every 10 seconds, I think. If you interrupt their heavy attack, it goes away, okay? So you kind of want to bait out a heavy attack from these guys. Spider-Gwen, Blade, and Elsa have decently long heavy attacks. Shang-Chi, not so much, right? But you kind of want to use somebody with damage over time who can interrupt heavy attacks pretty easily. I send a Mole Man and a Human Torch, and also a Hercules there. Hercules just ignores the entire thing, and his damage is just very high. So path number 3, Vital Strikes, Bob and Weave, and Lionheart. Lionheart, you can't reverse their healing. Bob and Weave and Vital Strikes, whatever those are, basically, I don't remember what they are, but they have guaranteed crits unless you dex them or if you intercept them. Blurry, hold on. They also are going to regenerate every single time that they hit your block, but not too much, okay? So you can cheese this with Ebony Maw, but Ebony Maw is kind of useless for the rest of the map. I have a Corvus going here because it starts with War Machine, then it has some mutants, so it's a really easy way to get Corvus charges, who's really good for Nimrod and also the bosses, right? So this is actually a pretty simple aim. Path number 4, Hardhead, No Hit Mercy, and Fighting Dirty. This one's kind of annoying. This one's a little more complex as well. Essentially, you can't really stun the opponent because then they'll reflect a stun onto you. And also, one second. Okay, sorry. So basically, you can't really stun the opponent unless you are stun immune. Also, every time they use a special attack, they're going to be unblockable at the end for 6 or 7 seconds. Now, all of these paths, by the way, they have like a crossfight ability, right? And this one is kind of useful for the path. Essentially, if there's a shock on the opponent, right, then they won't go unblockable, and you'll be able to stun them. Essentially, you'll be stun immune, okay? So you can reparry at that point if there's a shock on the opponent. That's definitely useful, but I just send a Hercules here. He's stun immune. I have Hercules taking out Carnage in Captain Marvel movie, so he enters the lane stun immune, and it's been working very well so far. There's a crossfight on all of these lanes, but for the most part, I found them to be kind of irrelevant, to be entirely honest with you. I found it was easier to assign better attackers as opposed to trying to work into the crossfights. For lane 5, Steady Perseverance, Speed of Energy, and Divine Barrier. I have a Corvus going here as well, of course, with a counter for Nova because there's a mutant and 2 charges on Hulkbuster. Alright, essentially what this does is they become immune to Nullify every 10 seconds, and then they go stun immune after they use a special attack, and they gain 1 bar of power when you reach 2 bars of power. So this lane isn't too bad. Lane number 6, Turtling, Armored Assault, and Mystic Conditioning. Okay, so Turtling, every 6 seconds they get an armor up. When they have an armor up, they go unblockable. There's a lot of decent counters here. Arcus is really good. Cosmic Ghost Rider is who I send. Ghost is fine. Terrax could actually be decent. Any champion who has, a lot of potential to place those armor breaks on the opponent and to turn off turtling and turn off armored assault. Mystic conditioning, of course, it makes it so that the more you nullify, the less your mystic abilities are going to work, okay? And then path number 7 is really annoying. Stellar genetics, persistent pressure, and distract. So only mutants and cosmic have their full attack power here. Distract, you need 3 debuffs on the opponent to do any damage, and then persistent pressure, every certain amount of seconds. Don't remember, they gain an unstoppable buff, and they go stun immune while they have that buff. So there are some decent options here. King Groot is really good. Null is amazing for it if you have Null. Who else could be good? Apocalypse could be good. Archangel's good. Cable's good. Like I said, mutants and cosmic champions that can get 3 easy debuffs and have some nice damage. Now, the crossfight here is also potentially very useful. It's every prowess that you have on yourself. It's going to reduce the unstoppable time by 0.5 seconds. So if you have like, Cable and Apoc, and you have the crossfight on Apocalypse, it's going to make the stun immune unstoppable section just that much shorter, cut in time, right? So yeah, those are pretty much the 7 lanes and the shared nodes, and then you have the Nimrod mini boss. Okay, so let's talk about Nimrod now. So Nimrod is actually very easy, a very, 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 very easy mini boss here. Like I said, I assigned 2 Corvuses here in section 1, getting chargers, and also there's a few Hercules as well. And both those champions, Hercules and Corvus, they just nuke this guy down like it's absolutely nothing. Basically, you can kind of do this fight with anybody. There's personal space and bubble shields. Just keep an eye out for bubble shield and just kind of look up how to fight Nimrod, and you're going to be good to go. So that he doesn't have anything too special going on whatsoever. But yeah, it's just it's kind of like a beefy Nimrod, man. So Hercules solos it pretty easily. Corvus can solo it pretty easily. Luke Cage, Red Goblin, and Unstoppable Colossus, they have these boss cross fights, and they kind of help. They make your combat power rate go up a little bit in section 1. So they definitely, help make the boss fight easier, but you can definitely do it without as well. So that is section 1. Up next, we're going to look at section 2. Section 2 has 10 paths here, okay? And same thing, there are some shared nodes as well. If it has an A, it is passively special, truly great, and redouble determination. You don't have to worry about this much, to be entirely honest. Just do the fight. Just do the fight, man. Don't block their special attacks, and you're going to be good to go. If you parry their special attacks, you're going to get a true accuracy and a prowess, but just don't block it, and then you're going to be good to go. It's Mr. Negative, Yellow Jacket, America Chavez, and Mangog, okay? And then for B, Nerves of Steel, Aspect of Evolution, and Power Alternator, Corvus, Red Hulk, Warlock, and Nightcrawler. Again, nothing too crazy, Aspect of Evolution, Power Alternator switches your power every however many seconds, nothing too crazy to look out for. Let's jump into the nodes here. The paths. Section 1 is the same as section 1, path 1 is the same as path 1 in section 1, Rhino, Fury, and the champion. That Nick Fury sucks, man. So I have a Quake going there. Quake just ignores the entire thing, but yeah, I mean, I usually suggest you parry light, medium, and parry medium, heavy, right, against the combat deja vu. However, you can't really parry Nick Fury in a second life, so I just recommend setting a Quake and just quaking the entire thing. Up next, Overclocked, Power from Afar, and Aggression Prowess. Guillotine 2099 is the absolute MVP here. Doc Ock could also be really good. Essentially, you have to use tech champions, there's Aggression Prowess, and then there's Power from Afar. So, it doesn't look too hard, right? But there is also a pre-fight or cross-fight here for, I think it's just tech champions in general, that whenever there's a power burn effect active, you gain like 20% of your max power. So Guillotine Special 1 is going to be really, really good for that. Vision, as well, is going to lock down the fight just well. But Guillotine, you're essentially just cycling Special 1s, which is really, really simple to do. And yeah, we haven't had a problem sending Guillotine yet. Number 3 is Power Shield, Aggression Regen, and Hurt Locker. This seems easy in theory, but that Magneto requires actually a specific counter. I actually recommend you bring somebody with some good damage over time, like, for example, Diablo, okay? Because Magneto has that Sig ability that's going to, pretty much stop the amount of damage you can do. And there's also Aggression Regen, so in the time that you build up to another special attack, if he gets passive, he can regenerate all the damage you did back, so it's a little bit of a trap there, actually. So I do recommend a Diablo for Magneto is really good, as well as, Hercules is good for him too, of course, because he had that passive damage on the specials too. But yeah, and Tiger and Jabari aren't too bad. Path 4 is the same as Path 4 in Section 1, okay? Basically, they use a special attack, and then they go unblockable at the end, and they are stun immune, unless there's a shock on them, right? So yeah. And Path 5 is very simple as well. Arrogance, Faltering Mind, Ebb and Flow Intercept. There is a cross fight that essentially gives you a passive vigilance every time you intercept, and there's also Ebb and Flow Intercept. So you kind of ignore Arrogance as long as you and Faltering Mind, as long as you can like play around that. So I do recommend, Hercules. I'm going to be bringing him up a lot. Hercules has the True Sense, so you can get around, the Falter, and also Ghost. So I have a Ghost and a Hercules going on this path because, Intercepts and True Sense is the way to go about it. Jumping on to Path 6. Atomic Overclock, Nerves of Steel, Encroaching Stun. Essentially, what you have to know here is that Science and Tech Champions are the only ones who have their full power. Everyone else has 50%, and there's Encroaching Stun. I send a Hercules here, and Hercules has never had a single problem, and Hercules gets through it much faster, even with 50% attack, over all of the Tech and Science champions that I've seen take this. Plus, he's stun immune, so I do recommend Hercules, but if you don't have one, right, there's Void, Captain America, Infinity War with a skill champ to get around a coaching stun, Torch, of course, for Sasquatch and Diablo could be good. Going on to Path 7, it's the same as Path 7 in Section 1, the one where you need, the Cosmic or Mutant champion for Diss Track as well. This one, the same thing as Section 1, essentially. And then Path number 8 is interesting. It's buffed up Attacker and Defender. And essentially, you want to bring a champion who doesn't armor break, who has buffs. Because if you armor break, Venom and Colossus, for example, even though you need a tech champion for that, and Skrull, for example, if they don't have 3 buffs on them, you won't do damage. So you need 3 buffs on the defender and the attacker to do damage here. Path 9 is very simple. Prey on the Feeble, Unblockable Specials, and One Eye Open. There is a crossfight that's very useful here. Essentially, just don't knock the defender down, and then it's a normal fight. So with One Eye Open, you essentially ignore that node with the crossfight because you get like a passive protection every time you hit the opponent. So just don't knock them down, and if you do knock them down again, okay? For path number 10, Delirium, Under Pressure, and Mighty Charge. There's a crossfight here for robots that they reflect any damage done to them while getting hit by an unstoppable attack if they're intercepting, okay? They also remove the unstoppable. So I send either Ultron or Warlock here against Wolverine, Havoc, and Night Thrasher, and it's very simple, 3 fights. Just pretty much use your robots and just intercept if you can, and you're gonna have a good time here. Plus, Warlock is a great counter for both Wolverine and also Havoc, okay? I didn't mention it, but for Path 8, I send a Corvus. Path 9, I pretty much leave it up to the person who's doing it. He either brings Kitty Pryde or Cosmic Ghost Rider. Very simple path here. And then for Path 10, like I said, Warlock or Ultron. And then for the Nimrod, pretty much the same thing. There's also Use It or Lose It here. There's the boss crossfight on Guardian and Ragnagod there, and that just gives you a big fury if you hit the opponent like 15 times in a row, essentially, and you have to hit their block or actually hit them when you dash back. It removes one when you get to 15, a big fury. Same fight, there's now Use It or Lose It, so you're going to lose 20% of your max power when you get past, a bar of power and you don't use a special. That's it. Very simple. Okay, let's move on to Path 3 here. Same thing, there are, some shared nodes as well. There is one fight missing on this map right here. Before Hulkbuster, there's an OG Vision, okay? So let's talk about the shared nodes first. If there's an A, Conflictor, Power Snack, Enhanced Special 1. So that is going to be Immortal Hulk, Cable, Purgatory, Hood, Starkey, and Tigra. It's actually very simple. Conflictor and Power Snack, they only give 25% of the bar of power, I believe, so it's like basically nothing. Don't even worry about it. Pretty much whoever is going on, path 1, 2, 3, and 4, there should be some champs that can do this, but just make sure you have at least one champ who can get through them. Pretty simple fights, so don't worry too much about that. The other side, Stun Vulnerability, Tenacity, and Power Drain. Vulture, Massacre, Psycho Man, Airwalker, OG Vision, and a Hulkbuster, okay? Again, pretty simple. It's just Tenacity and Stun Vulnerability, okay? And their special attacks power drain you if you get hit. So simple, all right? So, Path 1 in Section 3 is atrocious. It is awful, okay? Safeguard, Super Masochism, Consistent Combos. It's just atrocious. It's just atrocious. So essentially, Safeguard, only 1%, damage you can do per any source. Super Masochism, this is awful, man. If there's like a stun or a bleed, poison, incinerate, anything like that, Not only do they regenerate, they reflect it back to you. That includes the stun. And the consistent combos, if you don't do a 5-hit combo, you're going to glance. You're going to get a glancing debuff, which is so freaking annoying, man. So there is a crossfight here that makes you immune to the debuff that would get thrown onto you like once every 10 seconds, okay? So basically, if you go to stun, right, and masochism happens, you'll be stun immune. But there's also safeguard and the consistent combos here, so this is just a really annoying lane. We're sending an Apocalypse right now. Apocalypse is working fine. Falcon gets around it by, you know, the safeguard and consistent combos. I have a Falcon going specifically for OG Spider-Man, and then we have Apocalypse going for the rest, and that's been working okay. Quake will also work fine. Hercules should work fine because he's stun immune in general, right? And he gets around safeguard a bit, but overall, that lane kind of sucks, all right? Path 2 is the same as Path 2 in Section 1. It's the heavy beta protection, polka dot power, okay? I have, you know, Torch and Mole Man going through, and also Hercules, and they just mow right through it. You know, you want to interrupt their heavy attack, have the damage over time going. Path 3, same as Path 3 in Section 2. Power Shield, Aggression Regen, Hurt Locker, not too much to worry about here. There's no traps like Magneto. Path 4 is a little annoying. Fractured Guard, Little League, and Window of Opportunity Stun. Okay, so this is like Path 9 in Section 2 of Alliance War. Essentially, you can only stun them when the thing is down. And Little League, only small and medium attackers do like max damage, and then large and extra large attackers have more damage done to them. So essentially here, there is a crossfight that makes small champions stun immune. It makes extra large champions plus 100% attack. So we currently have someone going here, King Groot, and just nuking through the entire thing and not worrying about the stuns at all. And that's been working very well. You can also go through it like Kitty Pryde, for example, did well. Fractured Guard, by the way, puts an armor break on you if you parry. So Ghost could be okay because of Window Opportunity Stun, but you can't take any blocked hits. All right, Path 5 is the same as, I forget what exact path it was, but it's the one essentially, it's Path 5 in Section 1, where they go stun immune after their special attacks, okay? And also, when you get to 2 bars of power, they're going to gain power, okay? Red Goblin, Crossbones, CGR, Super Skrull, not the worst, right? I have just a Hercules and a Ghost going here. If it's not broke, don't fix it. You want to use the best champions in map 8, all right? Path 6 is the same as Path 6 in Section 2. It's the one where Crouching Stun is active and 50% reduced attack if you are not a science or tech champion. Again, I just have Hercules going here. It's never not worked. Path 7, use it or lose it, Aspect of Death, and Footloose. There is a crossfight here that helps you quite a bit. And that is when you parry, okay, while they have the Unstoppable from Footloose, it removes it and it gives you a Fury, I believe. So I just have a Corvus going here. There, like I said, there's an OG Vision before that Hulkbuster, so I have Corvus taking OG Vision and Hulkbuster, and then just completely going through Footloose and just smashing it all, essentially. And then Path 8 is the same as Path 8 in Section 2. Buffed up attacker, buffed up defender. That Groot's annoying, that Silver Surfer's annoying, but you have to have 3 buffs on the attacker and the defender, okay, in order to do any damage. So again, I have Corvus going here, but I recommend don't parry for the armor breaks, okay, because then you're not going to have a good time against certain defenders depending on RNG. So those are the paths. Now we have the 3 boss crossfights, Red Skull, Kitty Pryde, and Guillotine, okay? The 2 bosses, man, Penny Parker and Spider-Man 2099. Penny Parker has Make a Stand, Conflictor, Enhanced Special 1, and Heavy Assault. So Heavy Assault, you do more damage on heavies, Unblockable Special 1, Conflictor, right? Every time you put a debuff on, it's going to get removed and give her power. And Make a Stand, she takes 50% reduced damage. Unless you knock her down with a heavy, then there's a 15-second period where you could do damage. So Penny's not too bad. I do recommend someone brings a white Magneto pre-fight so that Conflictor doesn't happen and you can heavy her safely and she won't shrug it off. And then she's very simple to go about fighting. So Corvus, Hercules, right? They're gonna have a really good time against Penny Parker, especially with the white Magneto pre-fight. And then over here on Spidey, this guy's tough. Spidey's tough. Ticking Time Bomb, Kinetic Transference, Evasive Maneuvers, and Mercy. When you knock him down, he's going to evade after that. Mercy is the tough one here. Also, Kinetic Transference is, of course, annoying, right? Because, you block, they gain power. So Mercy, you have to dex many times and then parry, and then you can do damage. So you can't do damage until that happens. King Groot does really well here. Mr. Negative did really well here for me. Hercules does okay. Diablo actually does really okay. So it's definitely possible. It's just an annoying fight. But Yeah, man, that's essentially map 8. If you're planning to do map 8, you probably have a good idea about these nodes, about these paths, about the champions needed, especially if you're going to be the one planning all this stuff, right? Because map 8 is a very advanced map, so you probably have a good knowledge of the game. But it might just be looking overwhelming for you. You might have wanted someone to just break it down and just tell you what it does and who to use. So that's what this video was. I do hope it was helpful. If it was, let me know. If it wasn't, also let me know. Yeah, there's a lot of other resources that you can do, like on the forums. They shared like a map 8 companion guide that like has all the stuff written down, all the cross fights and everything. There's cross fights on every lane, but I really don't find a lot of them to be even useful. I find there are better champions to send for the lanes that don't have to be restricted by the cross fights. So that's how I recommend going about doing it personally. But anyway, my dudes, that is going to be it for this guide. Again, a huge shout out to Kat Murdoch for making all of these maps. She made my life so much easier while I was planning. I don't think I would have been able to plan map 8 as efficiently as I did without looking at these maps every night for a week. So huge shout out to her. Go check out her Twitter, give her a follow, tell her I said hi. Go check out her Etsy shop. She sells stickers and everything else, really cool stuff. So yeah, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Drop your boy a like, comment what you think, and I'll be seeing you around. Best of luck in map 8 to you and your alliance.